Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to talk about the final jury selection in the case of Robert Sylvester Kelly versus the Eastern District of New York. And so once again, I'm back in the garage because my daughter is working, and I am going to try and make this as quick as possible because there's a bad storm rolling in. So in the beginning of jury selection, they thought that it was going to take at least a week to get through the hundreds of prospective jurors and to narrow it down to 12 individuals that will serve as the official jury and 6 alternates, but things went by pretty quickly. I don't know if Judge Donnelly is impatient or if she was seeing something that the rest of the people couldn't see, but she basically narrowed it down to 40 to 50 people within 2 days, and then the defense and the prosecution took over from there today, and they seem to have knocked it out in a couple of hours. There was very, very, very little coverage of this final selection process. And actually, the people that I had been following on Twitter that had been live tweeting the past 2 days, none of them were really talking about the case until it came out that they had seated a jury and the jury had been sworn in, and that it is 7 men and 5 women. And so here's an article from the Insider, and it says that jurors have been selected in R. Kelly's trial, including a man friendly with a Cosby relative and another who mistook the singer for a cartoonist. Jurors have been selected. 7 men and 5 women will deliberate in the case, which begins with opening statements on August 18th. And then here's what they know about the 12 jurors and the 6 alternates. It says after 3 days of jury selection, the 12 people have been chosen. And then they talk about, the charges against him and how serious they are. Judge Ann Donnelly had attorneys for the prosecution and defense narrow down the pool to 12 jurors who are expected to deliberate. 5 women and 1 man will serve as alternates. And when they talk about alternates, this is 6 people that in the event someone on the jury of the 12 people that will actually decide the case, if one of them is unable to perform their duties, and this could be by choice or by force. It could be something happens in their personal life and they need to, leave and attend to that. Someone could be removed from the jury. A lot of like this is a partially sequestered jury and anonymous. So like if somebody tells that they are on the jury, they could be removed from it if they are found to be researching information, talking to people about the case. Any of those reasons could be potential cause to be removed from the jury. Something could come up, investigative wise, like somebody could notify the defense or the prosecution that these people aren't who they say they are, as in terms of character that is, or something could come up in their background. Like you never know what can come up, especially in the day of social media where people are always in other people's business and always ready to run and tell something. And so something like that could come up. And then also, I want to remind you all that prior to jury selection beginning this week, the defense and the prosecution had already been given a list of potential jurors, and then they were able to do their research. And part of jury selection is trying to narrow down who these people are and find out as much as you can about them so that you can let the judge know, I want to keep this person, I don't want that person. We can go ahead and dismiss this person based on the answers that they give on their questionnaires. And so that would have been a little difficult in this case because, there was limited information on what the jurors were given in terms of their personal information, but they did give enough that there was some research that could take place. And so it goes on to say all of the jurors and the alternates will hear the case. So the alternates are in the courtroom and listening to the case and the evidence in case one of them has to replace somebody on the trial. And then this is expected to begin with opening statements on August 18th and last 4 weeks. If a juror needs to be excused from the trial for some reason, the judge will select an alternate to deliberate in their place. The identities of the jurors will remain anonymous and they will be partially sequestered throughout the trial. U.S. Marshals are escorting the jurors to and from the courthouse to protect their privacy. And so partially sequestered, I believe they're not going to be like in a hotel where they can't go home during the trial. They can, go home, but I think they have to stay off of the internet and all of that stuff and can't have communications with different people, outside of their house. And so it's not as serious as it sounds. Federal prosecutors in Brooklyn accused Kelly and people he employed with recruiting people. So we already know what the charges are based on our prior conversations. The court dismissed more than a dozen prospective jurors from the case on Monday and Tuesday based on their answers to questions during voir dire, which is the jury selection process. 2 women who said they believe women are unlikely to lie about abuse were dismissed for cause. The jurors were also asked whether they would have an issue remaining impartial if they heard evidence about same-sex relationships. A courtroom sketch of attorneys and R. Kelly in suits standing before prospective jurors who are raising their hands, and that basically was a byline to that sketch drawing that everybody is talking about and saying looks nothing alike R. Kelly, and that whoever that sketch drawer is should be fired. And we haven't gotten any more sketches. As I was telling you guys last night, they hurt that poor person's feelings because I don't think they've been back to draw any more sketches. Let's see. So here's what the writer knows about the jurors that were selected. So once again, it was 7 men, 5 women on the actual jury. And there was, what did I say, 5 women and 1 man in the alternates. And so one man who enjoys watching sports in his free time, another man who works in guest services at a hotel and enjoys making sci-fi, fantasy, and horror films for fun. So we probably know that he is young and most likely white or of some other ethnicity, like a foreign ethnicity. A man who mistakenly believed R. Kelly was the American cartoonist R. Crumb, likes to crochet, travels at least twice a year to Germany to visit his boyfriend. So we know that he is probably white and gay since he has a boyfriend. A woman who loves to cook in her spare time, including making curry dishes and roti. So she probably black and Jamaican. A man who, or she could be Indian, because they make curry dishes also. Okay, so she's either Indian or Jamaican. Let's see. A man who loves learning new languages and going out with friends. He's probably white and might be gay. A woman who works as a fraud investigator, is active in her church, and likes to read in her free time. I'm going to say she's black. A man who works as a superintendent and spends his spare time watching sports. Sounds like he might be black. A woman who mentors people who work in the Salesforce industry and who has 2 kids in school. Sounds like she might be white. A woman who works as a cook at a hospital and loves to cook Italian food and bake in her spare time. She could possibly be black, or she could be biracial maybe, Or she could be Italian since she likes Italian food. A woman who had family in prison. Yeah, she black probably. A man, I know I shouldn't say that, but y'all was thinking the same thing. She got people in jail. She probably black. Okay, a man who works as a flight attendant who says he believes a trial by the media is worse than a trial by jury. This man also said he has a friend who is in Bill Cosby's family, but bases his thoughts on Cosby's case on the verdict jurors reached. I think this man is, I was going to say white and gay based on the flight attendant position. Has a family member in Bill Cosby, knows someone who is he has a friend who is in Bill Cosby's family. So somebody in Bill Cosby's family could be married to a white man. What do you guys think? I'm thinking white and gay on this one. Let's see. What else? And then here's what they know about the alternates. So we have a woman who works as a program analyst and has 4 kids, probably white. A woman who works in international education research, who answered in her questionnaire that Kelly seemed to have a lot of women accusing him, which she believes doesn't bode well. She's probably white. A woman who was scheduled to begin a new job during the trial, has 3 kids, and says she was a fan of R. Kelly's I Believe I Can Fly when she was young. She might be black. A woman who was laid off as a fast food restaurant manager during the pandemic. This woman also made comments on Facebook about articles discussing the Me Too movement, but said she would be able to put her thoughts aside when hearing the case. That's a tough one. I'm going to go with biracial or possibly Hispanic on that one. A woman who knits, crochets, and spins wool in her spare time. Definitely an elderly white woman. A man who works at a call center, plays chess, and has 5 grandchildren. He could be black or white. I'm not sure on that one. Prosecutors successfully struck 3 black women from the jury pool. On Wednesday, both the defense and prosecution took issue with some of the preemptory challenges posed by the other side. And you guys know in my previous videos I explained that each side has what's called these strikes, and the strikes is basically people that you don't want considered for the jury, and then you have to give cause as to why you don't want them. And so in this instance, the defense said that they thought that the prosecution struck these 3 black women because of racial issues, because these women were black, and the prosecution is racist against these women. But then after they hashed it out, they realized that that was not the case and that there was good cause for striking them. So it says the defense argued that the government had no reason to strike 3 black women from the jury pool other than their race, but the judge denied their Batson challenge. And basically a Batson challenge is an argument that the strike was rooted in discrimination. After hearing the prosecution's argument, so she said that the Batson challenge did not apply because the prosecution was able to defend their reason for striking these women. So the government said that one of the potential jurors had indicated in her pretrial questionnaire that women accusing R. Kelly of abuse willingly chose to stay with him. A second responded to a question about the case with the answer, "What people do is their own business," indicating to the state a lack of empathy for the victims. And the prosecution struck a third woman because she said in her questionnaire that she doesn't look up or down on anyone. So the judge accepted that these strikes were appropriate and not race or gender based. The prosecution also brought a Batson challenge, noting that the defense had struck 7 potential jurors who were white, but retracted it after hearing their reasoning for each. So it sounds like the jury selection process was pretty fair, that Judge Dunley was pretty fair, and it also sounds like Judge Dunley wants this case over and done with so she can get on with her life. And so the trial is expected. Some people are saying a month. Some people are saying it could last as long as 6 weeks. I guess it's really going to depend on the final ruling that Judge Donnelly comes down with on these uncharged witnesses. Like, some people are reporting that she approved the uncharged witnesses. Some are saying that she hasn't made a final decision. And the only thing that I found on this was that she said that she would allow some of them, but she wanted the prosecution to be very clear that these people cannot come up there with hearsay, that whatever they're testifying to has to have evidence backing up what they are going to say. And then I told you guys the other day, or it might have been yesterday, where Thomas Farinella wrote a motion for several of the Jane Does, saying that they should not be allowed to testify, and gave those reasons. And you can go back and check out that video as to, and I believe it's called, is the government piling on, or something to that effect. Opening statements in the trial are scheduled for August 18th. The trial is expected to be attended by media as well as supporters who believe that R. Kelly should be freed, and have indicated on social media that they will show up to the courthouse. Now, y'all show up, but don't show out, please. Okay, so that's it for me. Go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.